Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful Thursday morning. And this is Thoughtful Thursdays. I hope you brought your cup with whatever in it that you think you need for the day. We'll
Yes, yeah.
say a little bit more about that later. But I'm Carol Henderson. I have Life by Design, and we have an amazing guest on today that does so many fun things. But, you know, first, let me remind you that I do have a co-host here, the wonderful
Yes.
Barbara Ellison. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Barbara Ellison, transformational life trainer and founder of the Wellness Playroom. It's just about everything that we can do to make our life better. And that's why I am so excited to have Seneca here, because there are so many different things that we can do to make our life better through natural things, nature things, not just natural, but nature things that are already in nature. But we just have to find the people who know how to put them into a form that we can use.
Well,
And
and it
that's where
says in the
Seneca comes
Bible
in.
that the healing of the nations is in the leaves of the trees. And when it
Exactly.
says trees, it means flowers, plants, all of those things.
Right.
And y'all know that all the time on here, we talk about frequency and
Right.
how that you can spiral up or you can spiral down with the words of your mouth and with your thoughts. Because another friend of ours talks about that we have over 3 trillion cells that are listening to every thought, trying to make it come to pass. If you think, oh, I'm sick, I hurt, it's like, okay, he wants us to hurt. And so then they work to
They
make you
find
hurt.
ways to make you hurt.
Yeah, and so you want to really watch your thoughts, take them captive. And as you do that, you'll also take captive your words, which is speaking things into being. But, I don't want to take all of her time because Seneca improves people's lives in so many ways. And we tried to do this a couple of weeks ago, and as y'all know, my Zoom kind of went haywire for a while. So, Seneca, welcome back. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
And how you came to be doing what you're doing. It is
Yeah, it's
such a
fascinating.
fascinating subject.
Yeah.
So I make flower essences, which are not the same as essential oils.
Yeah.
They are the frequencies of the flower imprinted onto water and preserved. So basically, it's just another way to get frequency and the right frequencies into your system. And it's really interesting that you're discussing bringing your thoughts into captivity because, man, that is a battle sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, it's really hard to catch yourself and to think positive and do all of that. And what I've found is that flower essences basically make that process effortless.
Yes.
So you're just counteracting the frequency that is maybe negative or unwanted or something that you know is not healthy for you with a flower that does the exact opposite of that to bring you out of it. It's really cool because God has put all of these things on the earth. Everybody's really used to herbs by now and understands that there's a natural remedy for just about anything you could ever want. But they haven't really gone there as far as emotional healing. They're just still in the psych drug idea. And that's just not something that we have to fall into. We have natural things for emotions too.
Yes.
So
Well, and David
it's
spoke
really,
his emotions. I've taught the people
Right.
in here
yeah.
before. We're mind, we were spirit, soul, and body. And your soul is your mind, will, and emotions. And David taught, he said, rise up, oh soul, and praise the Lord. And so you have that control to, instead of letting the tail wag the dog, so to speak, and let your emotions throw you all over the place and be a drama queen and stuff, you have that control. And people say, oh, I just can't do that. They made me mad. All of those kind of things. Nobody can do that. Nobody can make you happy. Nobody can make you sad. They might hurt your feelings, but they're just feelings.
Yeah.
And so they're valid. They are things that are for your safety, but it's not something that should rule your life. You need to rule over them. And these frequencies real, folks. And these frequencies are so easy breezy in making it simple to bring your frequencies in. Now you still have to watch your thoughts, and you still have to watch your words. But with Seneca's frequency flowers, it's fun. It's fun. I love it. But tell me a little bit about how you got started in this.
Well, I was just a little girl. I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, and I started just making them. And my dad was a photographer, so we had a lot of little film canisters laying around, and I would bottle my little flower potions in those, and I sold them for 75 cents. And
that would be pricey back then.
Seneca, can we backtrack for a little second? That's what you did. How was the thought process that, ooh, I'm going to make flower essences?
I honestly don't remember.
Oh, okay.
No, it was just fun for me, and that's what I did, and that was the result. But
so
I didn't
obviously just a download. That was a God download.
It was just an idea. Yep. Nobody taught me anything like that. You know, it was just me doing my thing. But I didn't think it was anything. You know, it was just my little flower products, but I didn't realize the magnitude of it, I guess, or what it was doing. And it wasn't probably until my 20s that I figured that out. By then I had left it all behind. It was just stupid kid stuff. And, you know, flowers are cool, yes, but they weren't healing, I didn't think. So yeah, everything in my life kind of got out of control in my 20s. My dog, my husband, PTSD, we adopted a special needs dog, and nobody got any sleep. So I started using them just on myself. You know, I was my own guinea pig for a little while, and then I got my dog into it. My dog was great because she would pick them out. She would, you know, I would lay them out in front of her, and she would go to the one that she thought was right, or, you know, so.
Yeah, they have intuition, just that they're an energetic being themselves.
Yep. And even now, when somebody calls me and I'll go over and make a house call, I'll bring 2 or 3 things, and the dog will be right on me and wanting to know what's in my hands. And so I'll like, do you want some of this? And
I wish you lived closer. You're too far away from Texas.
I'm too far away from nearly everybody, which is great for what I do, you know, because I can get out in the wilderness. We have all kinds of national forest around us, and, you know, which is where I get most of my plants.
Okay. So I have a question. Plants on the prairie. Have you ever used things from the prairie, like the yucca and the cactus and the little yellow flowers and the sage and stuff? Do you ever use those in frequencies?
Well, we have different kinds of prairie around here, but I did go to Arizona for a little bit a couple of years ago before COVID shut everything down. And so I'm using chia, and I made a few things that we haven't fully developed yet. So
you need to come visit me for a few days, because I have a whole prairie of stuff.
Oh, nice.
And I'm on a lake, so there's all of that stuff too.
Okay.
So,
yeah. And you're in Texas?
I'm in the part of Texas that sticks up, where Amarillo is. And
yeah.
Amarillo's halfway between Oklahoma City and Albuquerque, and I'm an hour north on a lake. So
okay. Yeah. I might take you up on that.
And then we also have the Palo Duro Canyon, and it's like second to the Grand Canyon, but Texas itself is the crossroads of the nation. Almost every plant and animal in the country can be found in Texas, because we are the north, south, east, west corridor for the.
Well, plus you're really huge, so there's that.
The what?
Plus, you're really huge. So
yes, we are really huge. Yes. So I want. The saying is, Once a republic, now a state, always a state of mind. And that's why you find people in Texas are so incredibly over the moon proud of our state. What can I say?
Yeah. But one of the things for me, the essences of the flower essences. Now, what is the process of getting them? I know you just put them in water.
Well,
Like do you cook them, or I mean, like I know nothing about it.
no, I don't like to do any of that because it feels, I don't know, wrong, I guess. So I just mess with them as little as possible, which is my deviation from when I was a little kid, because I would touch them all over the place with my grubby little hands. And so now there's
And
like
tell us again what kind of water you used back then.
yeah, I can't remember. It might have been river water. We did not ingest any of this. We were just external use only.
I just when we were talking before we got cut off, it was just so fun to hear you talk about it as a child.
Yep. Well, the dog was in it. You know, animals really like this stuff, so you have to really watch the animals with your process. We have we have locations in South Africa, Australia, and the UK. And my South African person was discussing the problem of monkeys getting into it while she was making the essences there. So
Isn't that fascinating? Well, see, you know, they have frequencies themselves.
yeah.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. All right.
So yeah, to go back to that question though, now I have a process because I'm realizing that it mirrors the process in Genesis of the creation story. So God hovering over the waters. So I am definitely calling in the Holy Spirit to hover over while we're making the essences. And I'm asking him I'm giving him time to do that. I'll walk away for 4, 5, 6 hours at least. And I'm also calling in the light and praying in tongues and, you know, trying to step away as much as I can and leave God and the angels to do their thing. So
Okay,
that's
a
an
quick
important
question.
part.
Another question then. Okay, how did they find out? Like this is like I read the brochures of what each one of the flower essences does. How did they find out that was what it does?
Well, that's a whole multi-step process. I have a team of people that test them, and we just take them for a little while and record our notes on what it does, and we look for the commonalities.
You had to have had somewhere to start. Like
sometimes we do. Yeah.
I've got okay. Just because this is one of the ones I have, M&M. And it just has all the ingredients of like the blackberry is great for the person who has lots of ideas and little ability to carry them out. How did you find out that blackberry was for that? You know,
that was a combination of testing and just understanding blackberry, because what we're using is the Himalayan blackberry, which is very invasive here. So it will bust through concrete and it'll come up through roads and asphalt. And I mean, it is going to get the job done no matter what. So we're looking at that as like, oh, it's a breakthrough essence. So a lot of it is just looking at things like that. The plants always have clues. There's this whole thing called doctrine of signatures, which the basic theory of that goes back millennia. And it's the idea that God created everything that he created and marked it with some kind of a sign. So if you look
for a purpose.
Yes. So if you look at the walnuts, you know, they look like brains and they're actually very healthy for your brain. And the tomato has the 4 chambers and it's very good for your heart. Well, that applies to flowers too. Or basically,
never thought of it that way.
Yeah. So we're looking at how it grows and what it does and kind of getting a feel of its personality. And a lot of the folklore that's involved in these plants too. It seems like superstition, but there's some kind of a truth there that got twisted.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
Wow.
like old wives' tales. Old
Yes.
wives' tales are so often true, but the thing
Have a
is,
grain of salt in them.
in
Yeah.
this in this
They
culture,
started somewhere with
yeah,
truth.
right. And we in this culture, we've thrown out our elderly. It's like just
Mhm.
put them in a home, let somebody else take care of them. And we've lost that knowledge. We've lost that valuable, valuable information of, how do you I'm going to do an example. Last year when it hit 109 here and it was hot, and they were talking all over the country about, we're going to have rolling blackouts, we're going to do this, we're going to have brownouts, you need to not use your air conditioning. So one day we were getting ready to do our Monday morning motivation show, and we were kind of talking about it, and Barbara looked up on Google, how do you stay cool? And it says, go into an air conditioned building. And I blew my top. I'm like, that is ludicrous.
Yeah.
What if you don't have an air conditioned building? What if you were somewhere, people lived for ages without air
Mhm.
conditioned
Right. We
buildings.
never had air conditioning as a kid.
Well, and they survived. Well, you were in Canada,
Right.
honey. You weren't in Texas.
Yeah, well, that's true, but it would be hot.
Yeah, yeah,
It would be in the
I'm just
90s and
joking.
100s.
But yeah,
Yeah.
we go both extremes in my part of Texas, the cold and the heat. And so it was just like, okay, something we need to have a little education here. So we actually did some shows on the heat and what to do in a power outage. How do you stay cool? How are you going to cook? How are you going to survive? Because I was in the Great Texas Heat Wave in 1980 in Dallas, where we had over 100 days over 100 degrees, and it was 113 and 14 down there with the Dallas humidity. And we were house hunting. Yeah. So it was brutal. And then of course we had the snowpocalypse up here where it was minus 15. And just, you know, even down in Dallas and Houston, people had frozen waterfalls out of the upstairs of their houses because their pipes froze and broke. And so, there've got to be other things. And it's those old wives' tales that if we can go back and dig out the truth, throw away
Mhm.
any of the twist, as you put it, and go from there, because people knew how to do a lot of these. They knew how to heal without sulfur drugs or antibiotics, so
Yeah.
to speak, and prescriptions. They had very few side effects. They didn't have the side effects that we have nowadays, where there's the list of disclaimer where all the lawyer e's at the end of every commercial.
No,
Yeah.
my favorite is the one that says can cause death.
Yeah.
Seriously.
This is a flu drug that you take because you have the sniffles, but it can cause death.
But it can cause death. I like it.
It's like, which is more severe.
So,
Yeah.
so Seneca, tell us, what's your favorite? What is your
Yeah.
favorite frequency?
Well, my favorite one is whatever anybody needs for whatever the huge thing in their life is they have to get over. But personally, I like M&M, and that's what I tend to live on when I'm not doing something else. Oh,
How many did you start with, and how many do you have now?
I think when I was a little kid, I only remember Shasta daisies, sweet peas, and harebells. So now I have maybe 200.
Wow, I didn't realize there were that many.
And I have 6.
Well,
I
you
have a
have
long way to go.
So maybe 6 times 7 is 42.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to admit, I'm going to give you a little bit of a plug. I love using the frequency. I put frequency drops, and they're drops. That's it. A little stopper. It's not like you have to do anything major.
Mm-mm.
And it just 4 drops. Everything I drink has frequency in it. So I just go through. I have a line of my vials, and everything has frequency in it.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Our body is frequency.
Mhm.
Whether you agree with it or not, or whether you think we're talking like woo-woo. Just like as a friend of mine, Jason says, he said, you might not believe in gravity, but if you walk off of a building, you're going to drop. So you might not think that frequency is part of your life, but you know what? It can impact.
Like
Well,
the
it's just
ground.
basic physics. That's all. I mean, it's
Uh,
not woo. I said it's just basic physics. That's all. It's not
Right,
woo.
exactly. But
Well,
most
and I
the
think
people,
I think the Earth is the populace is coming into the knowledge of the quantum realm, and
right,
just something, Kirsty, the head of formulations for another company that Barbara and I are in together, she, had taught us a while back about they're smaller than the neutrons, and I don't remember.
they're the protons. And
Protons are big, but
and
anyway, they wave out when you're happy and joyful and in a right mind, but they ball up when they're
Hmm.
when
in
you're sad,
anger
when you're
or
sad or
fear.
negative or anger.
And actually I heard some of the prophets talking about that very same thing, and
Yeah.
some of the other people talking about it, and it's like you want to live in a wave as opposed
Right.
to all ball. And think about it.
Yeah.
You say, oh, my stomach is just knotted up.
Yeah.
Right.
It is.
That means that
Well,
part of yourself.
And out of our stomach is supposed to flow living water, like
Right.
flow.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And we're
Exactly.
supposed to live our lives in ease and flow. And
Yes.
and in a state of abundance. Well, abundance flows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abundance flows. So absolutely. Absolutely. Well, one of the things that we're going to be running out of time any moment now. So, but one of the things, Seneca, we should have you back where you can talk specifics of what flower essences do what. I think that would be a fabulous show.
And just for y'all's knowledge, she has whole like bouquets. Think about a bouquet of flowers. And she has essences that are bouquets, but she has them that are singles.
Right.
And when I went through some decluttering a while back, I did because we did the clutter. Remember, we did the clutter classes on one of our shows, but I did the motivation and manifestation, the M&M Barbara talked about, well, and Seneca talked, but I added the thistle and stuff to help you be able to get rid of the stuff that you don't need, just all the stuff that I had stuffed everywhere.
Yeah, good idea. Well, and that's the thing is flowers are so incredibly specific. So if this is new information to you, it's just wild to me how specific it can get to your personal problem. And the closer you can match it, the better it's going to work. So if you have anything big going on, you're probably going to want to pick some individuals and combine them, or else get a custom combo. And the bouquet blends, they're great. They're kind of pre-mixed for the masses, they're problem specific and oriented towards that, but they work really good too. And if you're in the US, samples are free. So, well, let's
Take advantage of them. I'll put a link here in the show.
Yeah. Free link.
Well, and I'm going to tell on one of my friends. Well, actually, I don't have time to tell on one of my friends. I'll tell on another show. So anyway, but guys, seriously, any questions, put them in the chat. One of us will answer you. And, things you want to know for the next time we have Seneca on, put those in the chat. If you're watching this on YouTube, please click like and ring the little bell so you know when we're putting up another show, because this is just fascinating. And I feel like we took up all your time, Seneca. So I apologize for that. But anyway, that's so we can have you back. It was planned. We talked about it beforehand.
Yes. Yeah. This is going to be great to have back. So we will set it up. Maybe when you come out with another new frequency.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and you know what? One of the things too on the show, explain how frequency works. I think so many people don't understand frequency.
Yeah.
and how we are all part of frequency. Like one of the things Carol talked about the snowpocalypse, and I was watching a video one day on how close Texas came to losing the entire grid because of the frequency.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my
It was like
star.
in seconds of going down,
Within
totally
seconds
down.
of
Wow.
But anyway, any last words, Seneca?
so,
Oh, see what I could pack in. Frequency. I don't know if I can condense that down.
Okay. Well, we'll have, like she said, we'll have you back on.
we'll have you back and we'll talk
Yeah.
about it. We'll do a whole show on frequency and why it is so important and why you can use it and how you can use it.
And you don't have to have the expensive electrical machines to use it.
No, you
Right.
don't. I have some of those and I wind up not using them most of the time.
Mm-hmm. I use
I
mine
just
much
am
less
so
than
low tech, it seems like.
Yeah. Like I said,
Yeah, I
easy
use my drops.
breezy.
Yeah,
You're not hooked up to anything other than the drink that you have with
right.
you.
And I have a machine.
So we will see y'all.
I have a machine to make. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
okay.
yeah, we're gonna run. This
Yeah.
is gonna
Okay.
cut us off, but next time we're definitely gonna have you make notes of what we're gonna do. Have a
Okay,
good one,
yes.
everybody. See you next week.